All right, today we're going to tackle one of the biggest, most common frustrations for anyone learning Spanish, that feeling of being stuck. You're on that intermediate plateau and you just can't seem to break through. If that sounds familiar, stick around because we're diving into 5 really smart strategies to get you past it. It's such a classic feeling, right? You've put in the hours, you've studied the grammar, you know the vocabulary, but then when you actually try to speak, it's like there's a disconnect. The words are in your head, but they just won't come out. I promise you, you're not alone in this. And the best part, there's a way through it. So here's the thing. The solution isn't just to study more, right? More flashcards, more grammar drills. That's not going to get you there. The real key is to shift how you practice, from just passively learning to actively training. We're talking about rewiring your brain for fluency. Let's get into how to do that. Okay, so our first tip might sound a little backwards, maybe a bit counterintuitive. To get better at speaking, we're going to start by listening. Yeah, you heard that right. I know, it sounds a little weird, but think about it. Speaking is a physical skill. It's not just about knowing words. You've got to get your brain, your ears, and your mouth all on the same team, working together. And active listening, that's the first step. It gets your brain used to the real rhythm, the intonation, the music of native Spanish. Look, reading books is awesome for building your vocabulary, no doubt about it, but it's not going to train your vocal cords. Speaking is physical. You have to literally practice making the sounds to get good at it. So you listen to some Spanish, and then you repeat the phrases out loud. Seriously, think of it like taking your mouth to the gym for a workout. It builds that muscle memory. All right, moving on to tip number 2. And this one is a real game changer. It's all about making your Spanish feel automatic. The big goal here is to stop that slow, painful process of translating every single word from English in your head. Instead, we're going to start thinking in whole Spanish phrases. And here's how you do it. It's a pretty simple 2-step process. First, you repeat. You just hear a phrase and you say the phrase. That builds the muscle memory in your mouth and your brain. Then you start to interchange. You take a structure you already know and you just start swapping out words. And that is where the magic happens. That's where you start to get creative and really sound fluent. Me gustaría comer un helado. You're not translating anymore, you're creating. And that's what fluency feels like. Which leads us perfectly into our third big idea. And it's all about something called chunking. The whole idea here is simple. Stop learning single, isolated words. The real secret is to learn words as they connect to other words, like you're putting together little pieces of a puzzle. And let me give you a fantastic type of chunk you can start using immediately, muletillas. Now, these are basically the little filler words or conversational crutches that native speakers use constantly. And trust me, they are conversational gold. They not only make you sound way more natural, but they also buy you a little bit of thinking time. So instead of that awkward pause, while you're searching for the right word, you can just throw in an o sea or a bueno. It's like a little bridge between your thoughts that keeps the conversation moving. These tiny little words can make a huge difference in how smooth you sound. Here's another great way to chunk: learn word families. I love this one. Think of it like a tree. You have the root word, say servicio, for service. And from that root, you get all these branches, like the verb servir, to serve, or the adjective servicial, helpful. When you learn these connections, you're not just learning one word, you're unlocking a whole family of words all at once. It's so much more efficient. Okay, tip number 4. We're shifting gears a little bit here, from specific techniques to your mindset. And this is a big one. To really, truly improve your speaking, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You've got to be willing to step outside that cozy little comfort zone. And there's a huge difference between the comfort zone and the growth zone. The comfort zone, that's all the passive stuff, like reading a book or watching a movie. It feels good, it feels like you're being productive, but it's not going to move the needle on your speaking. The growth zone is where the action is. Recording yourself speaking, joining a conversation class. Yeah, it can feel kind of scary, but that's where all the progress is made, period. So you have to let go of that fear of making mistakes. I'm telling you, every single error you make is a chance to learn something. The simple act of trying, of just putting yourself out there in a real conversation, that's what builds fluency. It's not about being perfect, it's about the exposure. And that brings us to our 5th and final tip, which is all about making this stuff stick. It's about turning it into a real sustainable habit. You need to find the right tools that work for you and weave them right into your daily life. So here's your daily practice toolkit. The idea is to turn passive things you already do into active practice. So instead of just listening to a podcast, pause it and repeat a few phrases out loud. Don't just listen to a Spanish song on your commute. Sing along to it, even if you're a terrible singer. Then maybe later, look up the lyrics and see how the sentences are built. These are all fun, easy ways to get your mouth moving and your brain engaged. Okay, so that's a lot of ground we've covered, 5 really powerful strategies. Let's just take a second to pull it all together into a simple framework that you can literally start using today. There it is. It really all comes down to these 5 core ideas for rewiring your brain and, training your mouth to speak Spanish fluently. So here's your fluency framework. Number 1, listen more so you can speak better. 2, automate your phrases with repetition. 3, learn in chunks, not single words. 4, step into that growth zone. Get uncomfortable. And 5, use those daily tools to practice actively. See? It's not just a random list of tips. It's a whole new, much more effective way to think about your Spanish learning.